We'll explore how AI is shaping what organizations create, who they hire, and what it takes to stay competitive in an intelligence-driven world. Attendees will gain practical strategies, fresh insights, and actionable ideas to help their organizations thrive in this new era. Let's give a warm round of applause for our speakers, David Sanker and Wayne Liu. Let's welcome them both to the stage.
Okay, cool. David, how are you?
Good. Yeah. So we're not scripted on this.
Yeah.
So
we do this improv. Everything authentic. But that means we are very experienced on that. Okay. Why don't we tell the audience who we are?
Yeah. Let's
Okay. So probably I can get started. My name is Wayne Liu. I'm wearing many hats. So one of my main job is I am the co-founder, president, and the chief growth officer of a company called Perfect Corp. So I co-founded this company 11 years ago, and then right now it was a startup, and now it's a public trade company. So the interesting about this company is really we are using technology. We've been using AI like 11 years ago, and then we are using this technology to help beauty and fashion industry. So for example, our customer is pretty much, we have almost like 1,000 customers, including Estee Lauder company, Chanel, Walmart, so Sephora. If you're using Sephora's product, you see this like AI skin analysis, which is powered by us. Okay, so been doing this for past 11 years. Prior to that, I was an engineer. I worked. My career started with Intel, and then my last engineering job is NVIDIA. Okay, so that's why. When I was in NVIDIA, there's no AI yet. We are building a GPU, graphic process unit. And prior to it's my official job. And then I have some side job, which is my personal interest. I'm a professor. So I teach at a couple of universities, including CUNY, City University of New York, and then State University of New York, USC, which is also my alum. I'm the alum of USC. And then also I built the startup accelerator. I'm the advisor of many startup company. As a more like an angel investor type of thing. So that's why many things. So we will talk about AI. This is something I'm really passionate about.
Okay, great. Well, talking about teaching, that was actually how my first career started. After I got my PhD in mathematics a long time ago from UC Berkeley, I was a professor of mathematics for 3 years. And then I went to career number 2, which was being a software engineer, which I did for 12 years, developing some software that I think was used for about 30, 40 years. So it's like software today doesn't last very long. So this was good. No software lasts that long at all. But then the third career is I went into patent law, and so I went back to Berkeley, got my JD degree, and so I've been a patent attorney since 2007. Initially working for a large law firm that you may be familiar with, and then 2 years ago I left to start my own firm, Sanker IP. I'm wearing my shirt with the logo on it now. This is great. And so part of being a startup is that I can actually be more nimble, which in the AI era is probably a good thing. I think a lot of big players are not going to be able to move quickly enough as things adapt. So a lot of my work recently has been in artificial intelligence. So I write and speak about this a lot, including a few books. And I have copies of these 3 books, two of these books on AI and one on patents. And these books are available at the registration desk. So if you go there, you can get copies of all those books. I've got them to give away to anybody who wants it. But today, we're here to talk about AI, and specifically the question before us was how is it affecting what we build? So why don't we start off and see what you're saying about how it affects what we build?
Yeah. So actually, I put this the title because that one is AI. The impact on AI is. It's not really focused just one area, right? Not software engineer. It's probably has a very profound impact on many industries. So let's start with how we build. How we build, usually we'll see how we build the products. Okay, so early this year, so actually the speed of AI is really amazed me. Early this year, actually I was in Davos, the World Economic Forum, so I spoke there. We talk about agentic AI, so it seems like people get interested, but it's only 3 months. It's only 3 months. People start using that, and then become like a product. Company just build around the agentic AI. So that's why I want to talk about first how we build it. So you mentioned this. It's a very good point. So right now, the software is not really software. In the past so many years, you teach software, you write software. In the past, say like even 50 years, back in when Intel and Microsoft started, software we consider it actually doesn't change the nature of the software. It's more like a system of a record, right? You're using some paper, pens to record all the accounting data, and then you use Excel. And then you use Salesforce. But the nature of that is the same. It's just recognize and record it and help you be a little bit more efficient. However, generic AI, agentic AI is a completely changed landscape. Because right now we don't see software, as a tool. Right now this one become a labor, okay? So if you are in the software business, it was like a 11 billion market, 11 billion market for the SaaS. But right now you are looking at the $14 trillion labor market. That's how it's big. Good thing and bad thing. Bad thing is if agentic AI become a labor, who is going to replace? Human. It's happening now. So I think I'll just throw this and then we can continue to talk about this, is how we build things. So right now we need to change our perspective. Software or AI is not just a tool. You need to incorporate this into your workflow, into your HR policy, okay? Because when you are managing human right now, you actually are, we talked in the previous session, it's not just human, it's AI, and there's a human and AI. And then this is one of the things which really differentiate these two is human has looking for the knowledge, we're driven by motivation. But AI has tons of knowledge. Human cannot compete with them, but they lack of motivation. So when you start building a company, building a product, you need to think about this. What exactly happened? What's my strategy to manage this new species? The species is possessed with a huge knowledge, but they don't have motivation. Okay, how are we gonna manage that? So how are we gonna build company, build a product? Is really you need to think fundamentally from things change. Software is not a tool anymore. It's a human being, similar. Okay, AKA, it's like a new species.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it too in terms of the use of AI and how it sort of fundamentally changes a few things. One of the things that I think is important to think right off the bat is that, maybe a few years ago, some of the people who were early adopters of AI, maybe they had an advantage over the people who weren't using AI yet. Now it's like, you'd better be using AI just to stay even with your competitors. So it's like it's assumed that everybody is using it now. You just better use it, assume that you're using it. But I wanted to get into a few examples where we need to sort of. I wrote a few points about rethinking things, and in terms of rethinking what we can do, because historically there's been some limits that would be just kind of inherent, and we just kind of make those assumptions, and now it's changed. And I want to give a really good example. I was talking to a person at a conference, and they had dramatically improved mammography using AI. And he was describing this to me, and it's like, okay, typical mammography has about 80% accuracy. That sounds pretty good, but until you realize, that means there's a lot of false positives. That means you got to do biopsies and test those. It's like, that's not fun. So both the false positives as well as the false negatives are maybe, it's like, it's not clear enough yet, we better try, we'll wait next year and see what happens. So the new technology they have is using the same images, but enhancing it with some additional data about the people, and then using AI, and now we're up to 99+% accuracy. And with that sort of accuracy, that means we've got far fewer false positives. So that means, far fewer wasted biopsies. And it also means earlier recognition of when there is cancer, and early treatment is also extremely valuable. I mean, the earlier you can treat it, the better it is. And so here's an example of something that, it's using the same basic technology as the mammography, but now applying AI to it and having much better results. Example of how we should rethink what is possible. That's one a good example. Another example that I frequently deal with, I talk to startups, and a term that I've never been exactly happy with is the MVP. It's like minimum viable product, and it's like, I was a software developer, man. I'm thinking I want to build something good, and it's like, so I'm kind of antagonistic toward that term, but. Now, if you've got these code developing systems that can write so much code, it's like, why should we be thinking about a minimum viable product when they can generate the code in a few days or a week or something? It's like, why not say, here's what we really want, and let's get rid of that term and build a real product, and rather than just minimum thing. I think we should rethink it. I mean, Jake was on the panel earlier. He was talking about he built something like in a few days. That was a powerful product. Okay, so then the other part is that with AI, I'm a patent attorney, so I'm always thinking about IP, of course, is that we have to rethink what we're doing regarding IP protection as well. And a couple of reasons for that. One is like, well, a lot of the stuff that we develop might not be able to be protected by patents, so we need to be increasing our thinking of maybe trade secrets. On the other hand, it's also the case that with AI tools, reverse engineering is easier. You've got AI tools that can spend lots of cycles figuring out how to reverse engineer something that wouldn't have been possible to reverse engineer before. That kind of argues in favor of having a patent. So it's like we kind of got competing forces here. Now it's like, so what do we do? And then we've got the third problem, which is that, well, we can't get protection for anything which is AI generated. So you can't get copyright, you can't get a patent if it's AI generated. So that's something to be thinking about as well. So all of these things, we need to be rethinking our whole development process because AI is changing it. And I think we're just beginning to see that, and I think where we are 5 years from now is I can't predict.
Probably 5 months.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the speed of AI.
Yeah.
So actually, David, you bring up lots of good points. I want to probably focus a little bit one or two, and then the first one is the AI getting very powerful, right? So you say like a 90% correct. It's improving because it's a sort of like I hate to say they are living organic, but actually they are. They are learning. They are not static. They are moving. They are learning. They go very fast. So there's two sides of this, right? So it's like a two-edged sword. One thing is, of course, I wrote for Forbes, and one of the articles I wrote is the dupe unicorn. Dupe is a product similar to the product, but it's not a real product. It's very popular in the Gen Z. And then the unicorn means it's a unicorn, right? Value at $1 billion. But right now, you can actually, as a one or two person, with the power of AI, you can build a unicorn. It's not like a traditional thought on the building a unicorn. You need to spend lots of money and hire lots of people. No, because AI empowers us. However, on the other side, if we talk about AI right now, there's a topic we cannot avoid is eliminate the job, because of which I talked a little bit earlier. It's like AI is replacing the labor. Okay, so what happened? I like to share some of my thought on that. Actually, it's a twofold. One thing is we see these new grads get very difficult to find a job because usually they get assigned to build an MVP. Now, it's no MVP, right? So that's why what happened is because AI pretty much take over lots of jobs, which is entry level, like data entry, running the analysis, that kind of thing. So that's why this company is hesitate to hire new grads because they can using AI. However, the thing here is, think about this. I call this is like the junior gap. The junior gap. What happened is, for all of us, how do we get now? We climb the career ladder, right? Step by step. When we was junior engineer, we learned all this, the pros and cons and all kind of things from the senior engineer, and then we learn from the mistake and this type of thing. But suddenly, think about this. If this junior gap get take off, so there's no ladder to climb. So if you are junior, there's no ladder. Nobody give you like a first job. So they become more like a very tricky situation. Nobody has experience, but they are high experienced people. So what happened is probably in 5-10 years, all this exact right now, this exact probably some of you, most of you are like exact. They won't have an exact because in 10 years, this gap is missing. So you will have a profound problem with that. But right now, all these companies just think about, okay, so I eliminate the entry-level job and then I can get some benefit, but they didn't think about long term. The second thing about that is if you are in the career transition, okay, some of you probably get impact, you're probably your friend, you heard about this, their skill, that's exactly what David said. You need to rethink because everything changed. Your skill is still there, but the thing is, something can probably replace you, right? Because it's a monster who possesses lots of knowledge. So that's why you have a career transition. But the career transition situation is very different from the junior gap. Junior gap is you try to find the first job. But for the career transition, they probably get more complicated. It's more like you are taking a journey into another places. However, during this journey, it's more like a transformation. You not only need to possess the knowledge, you learn lots of AI, but you also need to be ready. Yeah, so like a readiness. You need to understand things change, right? So probably like reading a book. So you have to change your mindset. That one probably is the most difficult one. You have to change your mindset and start to embrace the new technology, new knowledge. Then you can start doing that. So that's why, AI is powerful. It definitely creates lots of opportunity. But on the backside, it creates some really, I think it's the impact. It will have a very, very long impact into the career, even the human society.
Yeah, and I was just going to add to that in terms of in terms of the effects on hiring. It's like, well, lots of people, pretty much all of us have worked with our AI systems. We can write prompts, and so just having someone say, "Oh, I can write prompts," it's like, yeah, so can everybody else. So that's not going to be much of a differentiator. And so the question is like, well, what skills actually end up being valuable? And one of them is well, we know that AI systems are not always accurate. It's like and so one of the actually important skills is knowing what are the weaknesses of these AI systems and when to be skeptical of the results that they give us. Because I think a lot of times these AI systems sort of exude confidence. And that confidence is not always, justified. But I think as people, we get used to the fact that, when we listen to a person and the person explains themselves confidently, we're more likely to believe them. And so the AI systems have essentially picked up on that, and so so they portray confidence. And so we need to know when to push back on that. And so hiring people who know to push back and when to be skeptical, that's an important thing. People are making big business decisions based upon AI output. And sometimes those big business decisions are based upon unconfirmed data. And so there's big strategic decisions about this. I wrote something recently about that. It's like I was kind of shocked at how big of business decisions are being kind of handed over to AI without checking, and that's a big concern.
Absolutely. Before we move forward, so I just want to check the time, make sure we respect the time.
We got 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So actually, just build on what David just said, and David, you are a professor, so I'm also do a jump. So that's why I guess something I originally get invited into this education 2.0, right? And then they switch me because I'm talking about AI. But actually, right now, it's everything just blended together. You cannot tell that, there's a very clear boundary about technology, education. So that's why, based on what you just said, I want to talk about teaching, education, how we learn. That's one of the topics, how we learn. Because think about this. I have a very interesting analogy. So we talk about junior gap, right? So these junior people, the job get taken away by AI. You also mentioned about there's something which is AI's weakness. But the AI weakness, usually, the thing is we cannot learn from school education, right? Because you see probably like a decision making and then how to take like an emotional, stable, this type of thing. And this is very difficult to learn. And then what we learn from the school is knowledge. That's exactly AI's sweet spot. We cannot compete knowledge with the AI. So what should we do? Okay, so everybody, I believe you like one or many type of sports, right? Look at American professional sports. Say, LeBron James, he doesn't even get a college degree. Right from high school, he get into the NBA. It's not bench, okay? He play like the five-man. And then most of these good NBA players, I would say most, like all of them, actually they recruit from college, okay? And then David, you are in the lawyer, so you're a lawyer, you know mock trial, right? So American mock trial. So usually when you get into law school, probably in the L1, L2, you already get hired by the big law firm. Why? Think about this. What's the difference in between the athletic training, lawyer training, and the rest of the training, like an engineer? Because what happens is they get immersed into the situation. For example, my son played basketball since like age of 5. Okay, so they play basketball. All they do is practice, scrimmage, tournament, all kind of thing. And then their coach didn't give them homework. Like, okay, so develop a formula using physics to see how you can shoot the ball. No, nobody doing this. There's no homework. What they did is go shoot 500 balls, and then go back to learn, practice, scrimmage, again. So probably from age of 5 to like 18, you pretty much simulate what happened in the professional sports. So that's why when you graduate from the college, you get recruited immediately because you are so familiar with everything, defense, offense, and then you get the pressure, right? So NCAA, the pressure probably is more than the NBA player. So that's why you start to learn how to handle this when you are young. So it's pretty much like a similar, I call this like an immersive learning. But what happened to the current situation, we pretty much do lecture. Okay, so do lecture. It's only 5%, based on research. Probably like you can absorb only 5% of the lecture. So for example, for today, like David and I, that we talk, and then we give you a quiz. You probably remember 5% of what we say. Probably the 5% is a joke if we so yeah. So that's why. So like just listen, it's not very effective. So that's why if some of you are in the education or technology, try to build in the ed tech. I think how to get our students into more like immersive learning, that's one reason which I am really into startup. Because I think that's a playground. They have a very low risk because if they fail, okay? So that's why, and then the low risk playground for them to start to practice all this in the real world. So that's why I guess we fundamentally need to change how we learn and how we teach.
Yeah, I was going to follow up on that too, because one of the things is that I think AI is affecting education as well in a very big way, and from the people I talk to, it's like generally in ways that people are not that happy with, because it makes, I don't know if I want to call it cheating, but essentially not doing your own work. It makes it too easy, and there's even unfortunately too much of a mindset of, well, I don't really need to learn this because I don't have to. ChatGPT is going to do this for me, so I don't need to learn. So I'll just use it now because I don't actually need to learn anything. And I think that's an unfortunate mindset, and we need to actively work against that. And along those lines, there's an interesting statistic I saw just recently, a surprising statistic, which is if you look at a graph of unemployment over time, and you say, let's compare unemployment among those who have a college degree versus those that don't. Okay, well, we know that, well, the unemployment among those who have college degrees is less than the unemployment among those with, without a college degrees. Except it's not true now. As of about a month or so ago, at least among men, the two have collided, and so there's no difference in unemployment between those with a college degree without. That, to me, is a big concern, and I don't know the cause or the effect, but it's a concern, and I think that's something. Somebody's got a question. Maybe you've got more knowledge about that. What's that?
The cause is college tuition, unless you're going into medicine. The effect is that plumbing, HVAC, always in demand.
And those jobs are never going to be taken.
Yes. Yes. So what he's just said is like, yeah. So if you've got a job in plumbing or HVAC or some of these other industries, your job is much more secure. And like the interesting thing is that now I know some colleagues of mine who are attorneys, and some of these attorneys with very big egos think that, oh, nobody can replace me. It's like, well, in fact, we can, and in fact, more so than the plumber. So it's a very interesting situation, and so we've got an interesting situation going on with education. So we've got about 8 minutes left, and the last thing was like, well, the question is like, what does it take to win? And so you start off with what do you think on that?
Yeah, so first is how you define winning, right? So that's the thing. It's, like I said, if you're a lawyer, you know that. If you talk about something, you have to define it first, right? So define winning. So I guess everybody has a different take on winning. It really depends on, I think you kind of like fulfill yourself, okay? What I think is in the ideal, okay, it's more like a utopia kind of a society. Your system, the system, like a government, should support or surround you, who surround you should support what you want to do and make you a very successful person. And because everybody has a different definition about winning. Okay, so probably for me, the winning is if I like to see other people's success. Okay, if I can help people and then empower them to get them success, that's winning. That's why, like writing, teaching, and all kind of things. So that's why I think how do we do should get us to win. So I will say this one is complicated, the topic. But go to something very fundamental. I will see there's 3 anchors to get people to win. It's not about just learning. So the 3 anchors here is the knowledge, I mentioned that, the motivation, and the organization support, which can be a government, can be a school, can be a society. So we call this a KMO framework, okay? Knowledge, motivation, and organization support. If the people want to win, you need to have all 3. Especially in the AI era, you have to know, like knowledge is not just a pure knowledge because AI is really good on knowledge. So your definition about knowledge can be like like a plumber. They process something which is very, very difficult to translate, or they process something which is only unique for them. So right now you think about if you want to win, your knowledge, besides asking ChatGPT, you need to process something which is unique. Only you or a couple of people has that kind of a special insight. Even like a startup company, we ask the founder, what do you have? Why you want to build this company? He said, because I have some special insight. Okay, either I am in that kind of a community, society, so I know has some insight. So that knowledge, right now we translate into special thing, only unique for you. And the motivation right now, I think the motivation is, as I said, probably you can win over AI. That's your sweet spot. Knowledge is not your sweet spot, but motivation is. What motivates you? What motivates you to achieve something? Okay, for example, like I say, I want to see other people happy. I want to see them get success. So this motivation becomes one of the strengths to human being. Okay, and then the third one is organization support. So that's why, like us, we are. I believe you're all like a leader, and then like elite in your industry. So you need to think about how can we build an environment surrounding environment to empower all these individuals and then help them to win. Only if that, you can win. So that's why it's more like a win-win-win situation. So right now it seems like we are like a conspiracy, like talking about how we gonna defeat AI, but the thing is, it is, right? Because AI can be a very powerful companion, but it can be a very horrible enemy. Okay, so we need to think about it's more like a human strategy. What's your knowledge? What's your motivation? And how you build this surrounding support to help you and other people's success.
Yeah, that sounds good. Good. Actually, the question of what it takes to win, I guess I would look at it as sort of in terms of businesses generally. I think what you've described is exactly on point. One of the questions I had is maybe it's kind of a little different. Is to say, well, do we have any idea? Well, we've got some pretty big players with these big AI systems, and it's like, well, what's it going to take for some of them to win? And that's an interesting question. I think it may not be that important because, like, if a couple of the big players cease to exist tomorrow, how long would it take us to just say, okay, I'll just switch to this other one? So it may not be that big of a difference. But I think there's one area that I think is important, and that's really the guardrails on the AI systems, because and this was kind of exemplified in the kind of recent sort of situation between the Pentagon saying we need an AI system that can do absolutely everything, we don't want any limits. And then you had Anthropic saying, well, we have some guardrails here that's kind of part of what we want. And so we have this standoff here. And in my view, what Anthropic has done is good, but it's nowhere near enough. And so I guess I would say, and some of the market response to that seems to be in agreement with Anthropic's decision to say, we're not going to concede to this. But I think it's like they need to go further. We need to have everybody go further, because I think the safeguards are not nearly enough. The systems have a lot of issues. And as an example of that, just within a couple weeks ago, I saw an example where someone managed within a couple of days to persuade the Claude system to create some ransomware code for them, and it created it. And it's like, despite the guardrails that are in place. And so that tells me that's like the guardrails are not good enough. We need better guardrails, and we should use the systems that provide the stronger guardrails. That's
yes. So you bring up a very good topic. I guess for the limit of time, we cannot talk more about that, but we can probably spend another 30 minutes talk about AI sovereignty. AI sovereignty is an important topic. It's not just for the human, like your individual. It's for company and even for the country. Okay, so who owns the data? Are you just throw all your data while you are enjoying the convenience of all this LLM? But in the meantime, you are trading your soul, which is your data, to this AI engine. So you, as David said, there's a guardrail there. Everybody promise, everybody guarantee there's a guardrail. But if you know a little about AI, it's almost impossible. You probably get 99% protected, but that 1% will kill you.
Yeah, that could.
Yes. So one of the problem with AI is it get 99% right, but that 1% is always bothering you. Yeah. Okay.
So I think we have about 1 minute left. I don't know if there's any questions that anybody wants to ask. I mean, this is a big topic.
Yeah, it's a big topic.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you look at, say, intelligence scaling at a rapid pace like it is right now, exponentially, with the abundance of intelligence that we're moving towards, how exactly do we scale governance, which is essentially the weakness that we're going on?
You're talking, how do we scale the governance of, which is exactly right. And that's one of the things, it's like, we're not doing nearly enough on that. It seems like the focus now is just like, focused on just like, we want to be the first to do everything, and therefore let's just kind of think about that later. And I think that's a problem. So I see more and more examples that that make me very, very concerned.
Great question. Yes, but no answer. Yeah, we talked to this executive for the Fortune 500 big company like Walmart, and then there's no answer. Yeah. I think we are.
They're making these excuses that they don't want to do that, or that there aren't anybody in the market, but it's really just a money grab.
Yeah, well, I'll let him.
Yeah, no, just go ahead.
But
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I've seen, and I don't know enough to study it, but it seems like part of the layoffs that we're having and saying it's due to AI is a question of, well, is it really AI or not? Is it just a good excuse? And I think at least some of it, I think, is it's using it as an excuse. It's like, wow, this is great. We can lay off a bunch of people and not have to feel bad about it. So I think there's a portion of that that's going on.
Yeah, roger that. So that's pretty much end of our.
I think that's our time.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.